Have you ever wondered what truly connects two souls who share the same beginning? Twins born side by side breathe their first air together, and from that instant they often live as if they were two notes of the same melody, distinct yet resonating in perfect harmony. But what happens when death arrives at different moments? When one departs first, leaving the other to wander a little longer on this side of the veil? Does their bond dissolve, or does it stretch beyond time and flesh, continuing in the unseen dimensions of spirit? This question has echoed in the hearts of many who have felt that twin connection, that inexplicable knowing that surpasses words, reason, or even distance. The American mystic Edgar Cayce, often called the Sleeping Prophet, offered profound insight into the mystery of souls, karma, and reincarnation. He taught that life is a continuous journey of consciousness and that relationships like those of twins are never accidental. To Cayce, twins often share an ancient bond, two souls who have traveled together through many lifetimes, balancing lessons, debts, and love, learning side by side as mirrors of each other's essence. According to his readings, when one twin dies before the other, there is no rupture in the spiritual sense. The physical separation is like a door closing in one room and opening in another, but the sound, the vibration of that soul, continues to resonate in the same eternal symphony. The one who departs often remains near, acting as a guide, an unseen companion who whispers through intuition and dreams. The connection of energy between them is not broken by death. It is refined, purified, freed from the limitations of the body. It's as if the twin who leaves first crosses into another shore, standing there in silence, watching the waves that still carry their siblings' footsteps. In that spiritual waiting, the soul that has gone ahead keeps learning, but also keeps loving. Love, as Cayce said, is the one force that transcends every plane. It cannot die because it is not born in the body. It arises in the soul and therefore survives everything that is temporary. For those who remain alive, however, the absence can feel unbearable. The human heart aches with the weight of missing half of itself. Yet, Cayce would remind us that grief, when seen through the eyes of the spirit, is not a wound to be closed, but a bridge to be crossed. The living twin still carries the same soul vibration. Their energy field still resonates with the one who has departed. In moments of deep silence, when the mind is still and the heart is open, the connection can be felt, not as memory but as presence. Imagine the world as two overlapping dimensions, one physical, dense, visible, and another subtle, luminous, beyond the perception of our ordinary senses. When one twin crosses over, they do not vanish. They shift from one dimension to the other, like a melody moving from a low octave to a higher one. Those who remain can still hear the music, if they learn to listen with the inner ear. Dreams, coincidences, sudden emotions, or a familiar scent that seems to appear from nowhere. These are often the ways the spirit of the departed twin reaches out, saying, "I am here, still beside you." Cayce explained that souls often plan their incarnations together before being born. They choose their family, their time, and even the lessons they will help each other learn. In the case of twins, this planning is especially intricate, like two dancers choreographing a lifetime of movements that balance, challenge, and elevate one another. When one dies earlier, it does not mean the dance has ended. It means one dancer has moved to another stage, preparing the next act, waiting for the moment when both will reunite in spirit once again. The beauty of Cayce's vision is that it transforms the fear of death into a deeper understanding of unity. He often said, "The soul never dies, it merely changes its expression." If this is true, then the connection between twins, those who share even the same heartbeat before birth, is not undone by time or circumstance. Their link is like a golden thread, woven through the fabric of eternity, stretching but never breaking, glowing softly through every incarnation they share. There are stories from people who have felt this truth in their bones. One twin reports waking in the middle of the night, at the very moment their sibling passed away, feeling a wave of peace wash over them. Another feels their twin's presence in moments of doubt, as if a voice from within whispers guidance. Such experiences are not coincidence. They are echoes of that eternal bond that Cayce described, where consciousness recognizes itself in another, even beyond the boundaries of life and death. So what really happens to the soul of the twin who leaves first? Cayce would say it continues to grow, to evolve and to love, often watching over the one who stays behind. The connection becomes spiritual rather than physical, telepathic rather than verbal, eternal rather than temporary. And the twin who remains, though they may not always perceive it consciously, carries within them a portion of that shared essence, as if their heartbeat still beats for two. Perhaps that is why so many twins describe an inexplicable sense of being followed by their other half after their passing, not in fear but in comfort. It is as though one half of a soul whispers to the other, "Don't worry, I'm just ahead, waiting for you to catch up. Keep living, keep learning, keep loving, because we are not apart. We are only on different sides of the same light." And if we look closely beyond the veil of loss, we might realize that this truth extends to all relationships we deeply love. Not just twins, but every soul we have ever been bound to. The universe, after all, is a web of consciousness, and every connection, once formed in love, is never truly broken. Edgar Cayce believed that nothing in the universe happens by chance, and that includes the mysterious timing of death. He often said that each soul has its own rhythm, like a celestial heartbeat that pulses according to divine timing. When one twin departs earlier, it is not a tragedy written by fate, but a part of a greater design that both souls had agreed upon long before birth. To the human mind, this can seem unfair or painful, but to the soul it is simply the continuation of a shared purpose, unfolding across different planes of existence. Cayce's readings often revealed that souls who are deeply bonded, such as twins, sometimes choose different exit points for a reason. One may need to complete lessons that can only be learned in the physical realm: patience, forgiveness, solitude, or the rediscovery of inner strength. The other may continue learning in the spiritual dimension: compassion without attachment, guidance without interference, presence without form. Their paths diverge in appearance, but in truth, they remain synchronized like two sides of the same coin, spinning through eternity in perfect balance. He once described life as a great school of the soul. Every incarnation is a classroom, and every relationship is a mirror that reveals who we truly are. In this sense, the bond between twins is one of the most intense forms of mutual learning, a sacred mirror that reflects both the light and the shadow of our being. When one passes away, that mirror doesn't shatter, it simply moves from the outer world to the inner one. The surviving twin begins to find their siblings' reflection not in the face across the room, but in the silence of their own heart. And yet, the pain of separation is real. Cayce never dismissed human grief. He understood it as a holy emotion, a bridge between the visible and the invisible. To mourn someone deeply is to feel the echo of eternity vibrating through the body. He encouraged those who grieve to transform sorrow into prayer, longing into meditation. Communion with the departed, he said, is not through words but through harmony. When the living twin aligns their thoughts and emotions with love, peace, and gratitude, the communication between the two souls becomes clear and strong, beyond the limitations of speech or touch. Imagine this: two flames that once burned side by side. When one goes out, the other doesn't disappear. It absorbs the essence of the first, glowing brighter for both. That is what happens energetically, Cayce would explain. The soul that remains in the body begins to carry not only its own vibration, but also a resonance of the twin who crossed over. This is why so many twins who lose their sibling often feel a surge of intuition, creativity, or spiritual sensitivity after the passing, as if something in them had awakened. From Cayce's perspective, this awakening is not a coincidence. The soul that departs continues to support the one who remains, often inspiring them to fulfill shared dreams or missions. The physical death of one twin can act as a catalyst for the other's spiritual evolution. It is not the end of their connection, it is the deepening of it. In the stillness of loss, the surviving twin is invited to look within and discover that love, in its purest form, never belonged to the physical world. This understanding changes everything. It shifts our relationship with death itself. If death is not a final separation but a transformation of connection, then mourning becomes an act of remembering who we truly are, eternal beings of consciousness, forever entwined. Cayce believed that once the soul realizes this truth, fear dissolves. The fear of losing someone, the fear of being alone, even the fear of dying, all of it melts away, revealing the calm knowing that existence never ends, it only changes its costume. He described the afterlife as a realm of light, where souls continue to grow, to learn, to love, just as we do here, but without the density of the body. Those who are closely bonded in life naturally find each other in spirit. They communicate through thought, through vibration, through the simple act of recognition. To Cayce, death was not an interruption of love. It was a continuation of love in another form. One of his most moving insights was that the soul who departs first often helps prepare the way for those who follow. It is like walking ahead on a dark road, lighting the path so that others may find it more easily. In the case of twins, this guidance is even more intimate. Because their energies are so deeply intertwined, the departed twin often becomes a guardian spirit for the one still living. Not in a mythological sense, but in a very real, energetic way. As a presence that nudges, comforts, and occasionally whispers through intuition, "You're not alone. Keep walking." This guidance doesn't mean interference. Cayce was clear that the departed cannot make choices for the living. Every soul must walk its own path, but they can offer strength, inspiration, and a quiet reassurance that everything unfolding has purpose. The living twin might feel an unexplained calm in difficult times, a sudden knowing that they are being watched over. These are not coincidences. They are signs that the eternal dialogue between souls is still happening, just in a language beyond words. In modern terms, we might think of it as resonance. Two tuning forks set to the same frequency will always vibrate together, even if one is struck and the other left untouched. So it is with twin souls. When one moves into the higher realms of being, their vibration continues to ripple through the energy of the other. The more the living twin cultivates stillness, love, and awareness, the stronger that resonance becomes. Perhaps this is why Cayce encouraged meditation, not as escape, but as communion. In silence, we create the space where the invisible becomes audible, where the eternal can touch the temporal. The surviving twin in meditation or prayer can sense the soft echo of their counterpart, not as an external ghostly figure, but as an expansion of their own consciousness. Because in the end, that is what twins, and indeed all souls, are teaching each other, that separation is an illusion born of the senses. In truth, every bond of love is a reflection of the greater unity that underlies all of existence. When one twin dies, the universe does not break apart. It simply rearranges itself to remind us that nothing real can ever be lost. The soul who remains begins to live for both, and in that living learns the final secret of love, that the heart, once awakened to eternity, can never truly be alone. Edgar Cayce's teachings invite us to look beyond appearances, to perceive reality not as a chain of accidents, but as a symphony of consciousness. In this grand harmony, even loss has meaning, even separation hides purpose. When one twin passes before the other, we often focus on the silence left behind, on the empty chair, the laughter that no longer echoes in the same room. Yet, according to Cayce, if we could see with the eyes of the soul, we would realize that there is no true silence, only a change in frequency. The music continues, softer, subtler, but still surrounding us. Cayce often described the soul as a spark of the infinite, a drop from the ocean of divine mind. Each soul is complete on its own, yet eternally connected to the source and to every other drop in that same ocean. When two souls incarnate as twins, they are like twin flames dancing side by side, not halves searching for completion, but reflections of the same divine essence, choosing to evolve together. This distinction is vital. They are not incomplete beings trying to find the missing part of themselves, but whole beings walking a shared path of remembrance. When one of them departs, it is not the loss of the other's half, but the moment when one reflection moves back into the ocean of consciousness, while the other remains to keep learning how to love, how to trust, how to release. Cayce saw this process as sacred. He said that every experience of loss is, at its core, an initiation into a deeper awareness of life's continuity. Grief is not a punishment. It is the soul's invitation to see beyond form. He used to speak of vibrations of consciousness, explaining that love is the highest vibration of all, a force that bridges every dimension. When we think lovingly of someone who has passed, we are not sending thoughts into the void. We are aligning our vibration with theirs. It is through this resonance that communication between worlds becomes possible. Twins, because of their natural attunement, can often sense this communication more vividly than others. A gentle breeze when the air is still, a dream so real it feels like an encounter, a sudden surge of peace in the middle of sorrow. All of these, Cayce would say, are echoes of that unbroken thread of love. He also emphasized that the purpose of such bonds is growth, not attachment. In his readings, he often reminded seekers that love must evolve from possession to compassion, from dependence to divine unity. The death of one twin often becomes the catalyst for that evolution. The one who remains must learn to carry love in a freer, more spiritual form, to transform longing into gratitude, memory into presence, pain into wisdom. This is not a denial of emotion. It is the transmutation of emotion into awareness. Cayce believed that we return to the physical world again and again until we fully realize our divine nature. And within these cycles of reincarnation, souls often meet again, as siblings, friends, lovers, or even as parent and child. Twins, because of their unique energetic connection, tend to reincarnate together many times, refining their harmony with each lifetime. One life they might walk the earth together, another one might go ahead to prepare the path. But always, their journeys are intertwined. Death in this view is simply one twin stepping through the doorway first, waiting patiently on the other side. This idea may comfort some, but for others, it raises another question. Why must one stay behind? Why not go together as they came? Cayce's answer was that balance must be maintained in all things. Each soul carries its own lessons and timing. If both departed together, neither might fulfill the lessons uniquely assigned to their separate paths. The universe, he said, never makes mistakes. Even the timing of death is a perfect thread in the tapestry of divine order. It's as if one twin's departure becomes the silent teacher for the other, a reminder that nothing external can truly complete us. The physical bond that twins share is one of the most profound expressions of human connection, but it is still a shadow of the deeper spiritual truth that all beings are already one in the mind of God. The passing of one twin invites the other to rediscover that truth, to turn inward and find within themselves the same light that once shone beside them. This realization often transforms grief into purpose. Many twins who have lost their sibling report, feeling an inner drive to live more fully, to express more love, to pursue dreams that once belonged to both. Cayce would say, this is the influence of the departed soul, encouraging the other to fulfill the shared mission. The living twin becomes the vessel through which both continue their evolution on Earth. Every act of kindness, every expression of creativity, every step toward healing becomes a shared achievement. One soul working through two expressions of life and death. There is, in this mystery, a hidden tenderness. Cayce often compared the soul's journey to the motion of the tides. One wave recedes while another advances, yet both are part of the same oceanic rhythm. The twin who remains is not left behind. They are carried forward by the same current, drawn inevitably toward reunion. The more they open to that understanding, the more peace begins to replace pain. Because peace, he said, is not the absence of sorrow, but the acceptance of divine order. In that acceptance, something miraculous begins to unfold. The surviving twin starts to perceive the presence of the other not as a ghost or a memory, but as a living part of their own consciousness. The distinction between me and you begins to dissolve, replaced by a quiet realization. We were never two. We were always one energy dancing in two bodies. And in that realization lies the essence of what Cayce called the return to oneness, the awakening of the soul to its true nature as part of the infinite. Perhaps this is why so many people who experience profound loss report feeling closer to the divine afterward. The breaking of physical bonds often opens the heart to spiritual dimensions. What feels like emptiness is, in truth, spaciousness, the wide-open field where the eternal can finally be felt. The surviving twin, walking this path, becomes a living bridge between worlds, grounded in matter, but attuned to spirit, carrying grief, but embodying grace. And when they finally one day cross that same threshold, Cayce said, "The reunion is not dramatic or distant. It is gentle and immediate, like waking from a dream to find the beloved already there, smiling, saying, 'See, I never left. We were together all along.' There is a moment in every journey of loss when silence becomes sacred, when words are no longer needed and the heart begins to understand what the mind cannot. It is in this quiet recognition that Edgar Cayce's deepest insight reveals itself. We are not human beings having temporary spiritual experiences. We are eternal souls having temporary human ones. Death, from this higher perspective, is not an ending, but a shift in awareness, a return to the frequency of our true home. And when two souls are as closely bound as twins, that shift is never a separation, only a change in form. The surviving twin, though still walking the earth, becomes a living continuation of a shared vibration, the embodied echo of a love that transcends dimensions. In the unseen realm, the departed twin moves freely, unbound by matter, yet still connected through the golden thread of consciousness. Cayce would often say that this thread is woven by intention, by love, and by shared purpose. It is indestructible because it is made of the same substance as the soul itself, eternal awareness. The more the living twin grows in wisdom and compassion, the closer their vibration becomes to the one who has crossed over. This is why spiritual growth on earth is not only for oneself, it is also an act of communion with those who have gone ahead. Every moment of forgiveness, every breath taken with gratitude, every act of kindness sends ripples through the invisible fabric of creation, and those ripples reach the other side. The soul who departed feels them, responds to them, and continues to evolve in harmony with the one still living. This idea changes how we mourn, how we love, and how we live. If death does not separate but transforms, then love should not be locked in the past. The living twin can continue the relationship in a new way through presence, remembrance, and spiritual dialogue. Cayce taught that communication between realms is not a mystical gift for the few, but a natural capacity of the soul. We were designed to be aware of each other across dimensions because, in truth, there are no dimensions, only varying levels of awareness within the same divine field. He once used a beautiful image. Imagine life as a great sea of light. When we are born, it is as if we dive below the surface, into the waters of form and time. When we die, we rise again into the open light above, but the sea itself, the field of consciousness, never changes. Those who have risen into the light are not gone. They are still within the same ocean, moving in different currents, but made of the same luminous essence. The bond between twins, then, is like two beams of that same light, forever intersecting, forever one in origin and purpose. So how can the living twin honor this truth in everyday life? Cayce's wisdom offers a path, not of escape, but of integration. He encouraged three practices: silence, service, and surrender. Silence is the space where the eternal becomes audible. When the mind grows still, the veil between worlds grows thin. The living twin may not hear words, but they will feel impressions, insights, sudden waves of warmth, the gentle communication of the soul. In those moments, it is not imagination, it is remembrance. Service, Cayce said, is how we align our hearts with divine purpose. By helping others, by easing the pain of those who suffer, the surviving twin channels the light of both souls into the world. The act of giving becomes a sacred bridge. It allows love to flow where grief once stood still. The one who remains becomes an instrument of both lives, expressing through compassion the unity that never ended. And finally, surrender. The quiet acceptance that everything unfolds as it must. To surrender is not to give up, but to trust the perfection of divine timing. The living twin who surrenders to this flow begins to feel peace, not as a concept but as a state of being. The heart softens. The resistance to what was melts into gratitude for what is. And in that gratitude, the soul opens again to the truth. Love has not gone anywhere. It is here in every breath, in every sunrise, in every quiet whisper of the unseen. Cayce's vision of the afterlife was never about distance. It was about continuity. He saw life as one unbroken stream, flowing through many forms and many worlds. The bond between twins, or any two souls united by deep love, is a living testament to that continuity. It reminds us that relationships do not end, they evolve. They shift from touch to thought, from sight to knowing, from sound to silence, but the essence remains. And perhaps this is the hidden meaning behind the mystery of twins who die at different times. It is a reminder that even when the forms we love fade away, the connection remains alive within us. The one who departs first becomes the invisible half of a single prayer, and the one who remains becomes its voice on earth. Together they continue the same song, one in matter, one in spirit, harmonizing across the threshold of eternity. So, when grief visits, let it be a teacher, not a thief. Let it carve space in the heart for greater love. Let it reveal that absence is not emptiness, but the presence of the unseen. The departed twin is not gone. They have simply moved into the inner room of your soul. There, they wait in peace, smiling through every act of kindness you do, breathing through every heartbeat you take, whispering gently, "Keep living, keep shining. I am here." And one day, when your own time comes to cross that luminous threshold, there will be no fear, no distance, no searching. The moment your awareness shifts, you will find yourself surrounded by the familiar warmth you thought you lost. The twin soul will be there, not arriving, not returning, but simply revealed as if the curtain had been lifted from a light that was always shining. This is the truth Cayce wanted humanity to understand, that life and death are two words for the same journey of awakening. To the soul, there is no before and after, only eternal becoming. The story of twins who die at different times is not a story of parting. It is a parable of oneness. It teaches us that what is truly joined in spirit can never be unjoined, because it was never two to begin with. So, live with that knowing. Honor the one who has gone before by living with depth, by seeing with kindness, by speaking with love. Every breath of peace you take is a message that reaches them. Every act of goodness is a bridge that unites you again. For in the end, there is no loss, only transformation. And if this reflection touched you, let it settle gently in your heart. Share what you have felt, for in sharing, we keep the light alive. And remember, the journey never ends. It only changes its form, waiting for the moment when all souls once again awaken together in the radiant light of home.